bit of a problem child today.
Well, I want to play with all these buttons and find out what they're for. So, John, our director, he gave me a remote.
That goes nowhere?
But he took the batteries out.
But you got them back.
I got them back. So when we're going in other parts of the program, I'm going to put them back. And hey, what is this for? Anyway, we are so glad you joined us. And we're going to be hearing from an amazing lady that you had a chance to talk to.
Yeah, recently I talked to Celina. She's a young woman who looked for happiness in all the wrong places, like a lot of people do. Is that a song?
Sounds like a country song.
Are you
Looking
gonna sing?
for love in all the wrong places. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, well.
She found happiness, though, right?
She did find, she found heartache before she found peace, but she did find peace. We're going to hear her story today.
Looking forward to that. We have our guest Bible teacher, love Pastor Mark Clark from Vancouver. You know, he was skeptical. He was going down a wrong path initially as well, and we'll hear what happened in his life later on.
Lots of wisdom coming up. But first, he was most well known, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
As the car crazy guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You do know that, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, gee, Barry Mcguire would have said that cars were his inspiration. They inspired his soul at one point in his life, but we're going to hear about his journey, what happened to him. Lorna Duick had a chat with him. Let's head over and hear that now.
Well, Barry Mcguire is known to you as the guy with all the car wax products on the store shelf. Barry Mcguire's firm is over 101 years old. The former host of Car Crazy TV, Barry Mcguire, welcome to 100
Well, thank you.
Huntley
I
Street.
finally arrived. Okay, Lord, you can take me now. I finally arrived. My heart's desire.
Okay, and you...
The best host in the world.
Well, hey, thank you. The best car guy in the world. I really need you to help me understand car guy. What, like, it's a tribe. You guys are like a massive tribe.
And as
what
I just kind of alluded to, you don't have to be a guy to be a car guy.
I know.
There's a lot of good-looking car guys around.
Okay.
Anybody who just, they love their car. I would say almost to the point of being obsessed with their car. The car, they have an emotional attachment with their car. And it comes.
Do you know why? Why that DNA is in something?
That is the question I have asked thousands of times over 18 years of doing this car show, this TV show. So why are you so car crazy? And the stories come out, and it's just, those stories are just amazing. You can't really put them into a one-liner.
Okay, so what's remarkable about you is that you had the car gene.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Then you have the other good fortune of getting the lottery of being born into a car family.
Oh, man.
So your great-grandpa's car business, 101 years old.
117 since 1901.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just like, God, thank you for my life. I have so much fun.
Okay, so you're born into the right funnel.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
You hit a point where you actually do ask God for wisdom about the car stuff.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah. I had two things happen at the same time. I talked to we were just selling car dealers and body shops. We were doing about $600,000 a year. And I'm the third generation leader, but I have to report to the family board. And they didn't want to go retail. They didn't want anything to do with it. We're a professional brand. And I said, but there's all these car guys out there, and they're like professionals.
Yeah, they were just in the factories, and now you want to go.
Yeah,
you want to
and
go.
I want to go out into retail. So I said, the car guys are like they're pseudo professionals. They will follow directions. They want the same perfect finish we want. They don't care about price. This is our crowd. I don't want to be a mass market. I just want to focus on car guys. They reluctantly let me know how. So. Then I have this challenge. It was 1969. I'm an old guy now. It's 1969. And I walk out excited, but recognizing I know how to buff a car. I don't have a clue about retail. And I don't have a package. They said you had to make a package different from our professional so you don't hurt our professional brand. So I had all that ahead of me. And I went to a Christian college, and I grew up in the church, and you hear scriptures, and does it really work? I mean, you know, you get this, but now I'm in real life. Does it really work? There was one scripture popped out in Proverbs 3:5. It says, trust the Lord with your whole heart. Don't depend on your own intelligence. In all your ways acknowledge him. And this great promise, and I will direct your path. So I said, God, I need you to direct my path. I got to trust you. It's easy because I don't have.
You prayed for a business plan for the wax?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I said, it's easy not to depend on my own intelligence because I don't have any. I have no knowledge of the retail market. Help me or building a package. And he just went to work and he just did one miracle after another. I'm sitting there thinking.
Some people would say God doesn't really connect that personally with us.
Oh my goodness! They've never given him a chance. You give him a chance, just a chance. I just said, God, lead people in my life. And all of a sudden, I'm in a waiting room in a buyer's office, and I'm meeting this guy, And we developed a nice conversation, and he goes to his bar and I go to mine. That was in Dallas. 2 weeks later, I'm in Seattle. I walk into the waiting room, same guy. We sit down, he says, what is it you do? I said, well, I'm trying to create a retail brand of car wax. He said, well, I can help you. I said, how's that? I'm the general partner of the biggest ad agency in the United States. Where do you live? Well, we live about 10 minutes away from each other. He ends up spending months, 1 day a week, every week for 2 months, training me, giving me a whole education, and I never paid anything.
How often are you asking God to lead your steps?
Every day, every moment. Every moment.
Okay.
It's a continued, this thing, pray without ceasing, that seemed really hard. But you know what? I just talk to God all the time. I walk into a buyer's office or wherever I'm going and say, God, just make me be a blessing to people. And I know that sounds really weird, but after 50 years of finding God, just answering all my little prayers, and then he answers bigger prayers.
But then it's your health.
Yeah.
We're not just on cars anymore.
Yeah.
This is the real body shop.
That's right. That's right. That's the real body shop. That's right.
What happened to you?
I need some restoration here,
What happened to your health?
Well, they had, God gave me a virus, a God-shaped virus that you have 5 liters of blood in your body. They took more than that away from me in 10 days, 1 vial at a time, and they couldn't identify what it was because God didn't want me healed. He wanted to get my attention. He put me there, I know clearly, to get my attention. But in the midst of all that, they give up on me, okay? And so if you want to be alone, you say goodbye to your family, and the night nurse comes on, you don't know her, and you got all the bells and whistles, you're in ICU, all that going on. People say, I don't think I'd want to die in a hospital. You know what? That is one of the most precious times in my entire life. As a Christian, when you're laying there and you may see Jesus in 5 minutes, absent from the body, present with the Lord, it happens like that. I can tell you as Christians, you have no fear. I had zero fear. I had a conversation with God. Man, I got all these plans. I got my family. I got all these things I think I can do for you. But I'm excited about heaven. And God, I'm in your hands. There's this first Romans 8:28 says, from now until you die, I'll make everything in your life work for good when you live for my purpose. His purpose is to seek and save the lost. In other words, we have a few people here today that haven't found God. I understand that. I'm in a world that hasn't found God. But eternity is eternity. We're here for this long. Our whole life is to figure out who God is.
Okay, somebody's watching you right now and says, I do want to find God, Barry.
Yeah.
What should they do?
Well, if they're car guys, I have to speak to car guys and say, you know what? If you could earn your way into heaven, you guys would be at the front of the line because car guys are fantastic. I mean, they're so generous and kind and giving. It's a great crowd. I thank God every day I'm a car guy, But the fact of the matter is we can't be good enough. We can't earn our way into heaven. Even one sin keeps us out of heaven. So it's not about what we do, it's about what he did. The fact of the matter is we don't deserve heaven because we're sinners. And that's why he sent his son Jesus to die for us. That just by accepting the fact he sacrificed his life for us, we just accept his pardon, not because we're good, but because what he did, he's perfect and he died for us so we could be in heaven.
Help our audience that wants to say, you know what, and we get calls all the time on our prayer line. We have a 24-hour prayer line that's wonderful, and you can call it. But people are saying, I'm going through something right now,
Almost
and I
everybody
don't
is.
know if I'm right with God.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm good. Do you want to pray? Help them pray that prayer.
I would love to. I would love to. Father God, Holy God, it's amazing that you hear us right now. And everybody that's watching us right now, you know them intimately. You know their every thought. And here's the deal. God, we know that you love everybody that's listening to my voice right now. You love them as much as you ever loved anybody because you love us all the same. You love everybody listening to us right now as much as you've ever loved anybody. In fact, you love them as much as you love your own son, Jesus. And you have but one desire, that they spend eternity with you. And if troubles are in their life right now, you're not beating them up. We just think that, oh, God must be mad at me. You must be mad at me, God, and you've left me, God, and you could never love me. Yes, you love me. You love me. And you allow trials in my life to get my attention, so I can focus on you. When we're on our backs, we look up to you. Thank you, God, that it's not by effort, it's not by our strength, it's not by our goodness or our badness. We can't be bad enough to stay out of heaven. We can't. We can't be good enough to get into heaven. That has nothing to do with it. It has the fact that you know us intimately, you know every thought. And in spite of the wretch that we are, and I'm a scoundrel myself, I'm a sinner. I mean, I just have all kinds of issues, but you love me. You love me, and you want me to spend eternity, and I'm going to spend eternity because of this one thing. I came to the realization that Jesus is real. He is your son. You sent him to earth for a message. He lived a perfect life and shed his blood, that horrible death on the cross. Jesus, you did that for me and for everybody listening. And all we have to do, it's a gift to God, not by works. We can't earn our way. It's a gift. It's a gift. The gift of eternal life is a gift, and all we have to do is receive it.
Maybe you prayed with the crazy car guy, Barry Mcguire. You can follow up on our prayer lines that you see listed on the bottom of the screen. Barry Mcguire, thank you so much for coming to visit 100 Huntley Street. Only here could you pray with the car wax guy.
Absolutely.
And the men in black shirts. Thank you, Barry Mcguire.
Thank you. God bless.
You know, I love what Barry was saying, just the honesty about it, you know, trying to maybe work your way to heaven, that kind of thing. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap. You think if I do enough good things, it'll outweigh the bad things I've done. Now, years ago, many years ago, more than 3.5 decades ago, I was with this young lady in the Vancouver airport, and we started talking, and I was telling her, I said, no, as long as you do enough good things, then you get to heaven. She says, no, you need to believe in Jesus. That's how you get to heaven. I thought I'd never see this young lady again. Well, we've been married now for 35 years, Arlene, and she helped me to understand that.
Smart girl.
But isn't there something, though, and I think that's like in world religions, it's if you do enough good, then you get in.
And the problem is you can never do enough good.
No.
You can never be good enough. So there's always this feeling of like, I just can't measure up. I'm never going to get there. I have to try harder, do more, and it's exhausting.
And that's why Jesus came, and that's what Barry said, so we thank you for that, Barry. Hey, do you think a lot about heaven?
I don't, but I do think a lot about meeting God, which sounds strange, but I recently went through a hospital stay, and just walking into the operating room by myself and thinking about what might happen, it made me realize that, you know, at the end of your life, in those hard moments, it's just you and God. And if you don't have peace with you and him, then you're not going to be able to face those moments well. Like your family isn't going to come with you when you die. It's you and God. So it just brought it all home to me. We're all going to die. We all have to be ready.
And we are going to go to this place called heaven.
Now, you talked to John Burke about this.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, and we're going to be featuring interviews all month long. And Imagine Heaven, it was a book that came out about 3 years ago. And over 35 years, he talked to about 1,000 people that had these near-death experiences, and he put more than 100 in his book. And then out of that, him and his wife, Kathy, put together a devotional so that we can hear the stories, see what the Bible teaches about heaven, and then also have a prayer time. So it's a wonderful devotional, and for your support of 100 Huntley Street, we want to get that great book to you, and we'll just continue to offer it because we want people to look at that little sneak peek in behind what heaven is, and I do think it motivates us to be more effective here.
I love the fact that we can hear real people's stories and what lies beyond. I think we all wonder what that looks like, so a great resource. We'd love to get it out to you as our thank you for all you do for us. Here's a little bit more about why we're so grateful for you.
It's been 1 year since our founder David Maines passed, entrusting his legacy of Christian broadcast to us to continue sharing the message of Jesus. David built 100 Huntley Street with the support of many monthly partners. We're thankful that today they continue to form the financial and prayerful backbone of Crossroads Media mission. Is it your time to become a monthly partner? If you enjoy watching 100 Huntley Street, if you agree that our trusted Christian voice in Canadian media must stand strong, if you believe Crossroads Media Missions is critical to reaching our younger generation online with relevant Christian content, and if you want our 24/7 prayer phone lines and now new prayer chat lines to answer calls for help and hope, then please become one of the 1,000 new monthly partners we're looking for this month. Call today, 1-800-265-3100 to become a monthly partner and join us in giving thanks to God for using each of us to reach people with His good news.
It's a fact of life that many times we ignore God until we really need something. And then we start to make those deals. You know, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. Come on, I know many of you have done that. But so many times it's in that desperate place that we experience something completely unexpected, even miraculous. That is the story of my guest today, Celina Jamal. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So great to have you here. And I'm looking forward to telling your story. You know, you grew up with some challenges in your life. Tell me what it was like growing up.
Well, I grew up in an Islamic home, and my parents divorced, and then I was just like abused, and it was really hard. So always by myself, like trying to seek who God was, and it was really hard. So
really confusing.
Yeah, really confusing.
And, you know, like it happens, I think, with so many people, as you grew up and you started meeting men and dating, a lot of those men were abusing you as well.
Yes, yes. It wasn't easy because it's like I didn't know who my Heavenly Father was, so they were the first examples. And then with my biological father, he was also abusive, so there was no knowledge of who God is.
So it's almost like your idea of love was abuse in a sense.
Yes.
And so when men abused you, that's kind of part of the whole package.
Yes, yes.
We're talking like physical abuse too,
Yes,
right?
physical, emotional.
So what did you do then in response to that, you know, that void that you were feeling of love in your life?
I was seeking it in the wrong places, like with men, with money, with all those like worldly stuff.
Kind of what a lot of people do,
Yeah.
partying, drugs, alcohol. And was any of that helping to dull that pain?
No, nothing would fill the void. Like, I would just keep doing it, and it just got worse and worse every time, and then I finally came to the end of myself, so.
At that moment, you tried to take your own life.
Yes, I
Tell me
did.
about that. What got you there and what happened?
So I was just really depressed, really upset, and I just said, what's the point? Like, I keep doing everything and nothing's filling this void, so I'm done. So I overdosed, and my dad came home, like, miraculously, because he doesn't leave his work. And he found me, and God used him to save me through that.
Wow, that's your stepdad.
Yeah, my stepfather, yes.
So, you know, I think sometimes like you make a decision to end your life and it's very final, and then you find yourself on the other side of that going, okay, now I'm here. What am I here for? So what did you do next then?
I went through a whole other process, like with antidepressants, and then I was using the antidepressants, so it was a long process, and then I got in a relationship, and he wasn't as bad as the other men, so I stayed, and then down the line I got pregnant. It was still a toxic relationship, and then, yeah, it was.
You know, you think about what you said, it doesn't fill the void. Did you think that the problem was with you, or did you think the problem was that the people around you?
It was both, actually. I thought at first, what's my problem? Like, why won't anyone, like, fill that void for me? And then it was like, I found that everyone was just disappointing me as well, so it's hard.
So you met this guy who treated you better than the other guys.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but
still wasn't that great.
yeah, it wasn't that great either.
And you found out you were pregnant. So tell me what
Yes.
happened with him when you got pregnant.
So I got pregnant, and basically he said to me that this is not for me. I'm not ready for this. Like I can't do this. Like, get rid of it. Like, get rid of your pregnancy. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, and at that time I was still kind of seeking God, and I just knew it was wrong. So I made this decision to keep my daughter, and she's 2 now, and yeah, she's just amazing.
So, we're going to come back. We're going to finish your story in just a minute. So
Yes.
you are there, you are pregnant, not just your boyfriend, but a lot of people in your life are telling you to get rid of the baby.
Yes.
So you're feeling pretty alone at this point, right? When we come back, here she is alone and pregnant, but she still had hope for this new life, and then tragedy strikes. Find out what happened in just a moment.
I was like at the end of myself completely. I was like, what am I going to do if I lose this child? I have nothing left. So it's just her, holding on to her, and then I just called out to God that night.
Well, God gave me a car, and when I had that car, that was it. I was going to Huntley Street. And God gave me a car because I had an opportunity to come here and witness and do what my mother did. I had a call the other day from a man in New York who wanted to rededicate his life to Jesus. What a privilege. Every time you pick up the phone, you're talking to Jesus. Prayer is everything. Prayer is my passion. It's what I live for. It's what I do all day in small episodes or big episodes. And I can testify that God never fails.
Thank you for your generous giving that has enabled Crossroads to achieve its financial goal and end the fiscal year strong. Because of you, we're positioned and ready for another year of growth and impact as media missionaries. Thank you.
We are back with Celina Jamal, a young woman who experienced painful abandonment and abuse in her life and eventually found herself pregnant and alone. That's how we ended the interview at part one. Everyone wanted you to get rid of your pregnancy and you were all alone, and then you started having some complications. What happened?
So I was trying to figure out, like, how do I have this child that I chose to keep and walk it out with forgiveness? Like, how do I have a child from someone I can't stand, pretty much, because of all the pain he caused me? So I reached out to the church. I had a friend that was going to the church, and I reached out to the church, and I had an interview to meet with the care pastor, and I wasn't able to make it. So he called me when I was in the hospital bed after I ruptured. And he just explained to me, he was on the phone with me for an hour, and he said, cry out to God.
And you actually, when you said you ruptured, like, you were in a medical situation where they basically told you that there was no hope for your baby to live.
Yes, yes. So
what were your thoughts at that time? Because everyone else had left you, and then here was this hope in this child. To lose that would have just devastated you.
Yeah, I was like at the end of myself completely. I was like, what am I going to do if I lose this child? I have nothing left. So it's just her, holding on to her, and then I just called out to God that night.
So yeah, this pastor tells you to call out to God. This hasn't, been your practice up to this point. So tell me what that conversation was like, or was it even a conversation?
I just called out to him and said, I don't know who you are, and I need your help right now. I know that I've never came to you in my life, and I've just been looking for you, and I just want to know your love. I just want to know that you care for me. And he answered. I heard him so clear for the first time, like, I'm here, and I'll never forsake you, and I will redeem this.
You have a beautiful little girl right now, Mia. We have some photos of her. She is gorgeous. It's been 2 years since that day. Tell me what's changed in your life now these 2 years.
It's like I have a purpose. Like, the void that I was looking for everywhere else is just filled. Like, it's like filling a hole in the pavement. It was just, God just filled it with that love and peace, and I can walk in trust, and I don't have to try to control everything. And there are days where I still try to control everything. Like, I'm still on this walk. Like, I'm in the middle of the wilderness right now, actually, like, with healing, and God's just trying to deliver me of all this past pain and stuff. So
it's kind of like, sometimes as people of faith, I think we say, oh, you come to Christ and it's all done. No. But actually, it's the beginning, right? And then there's the walking out of letting God heal your heart and forgiving people. Now, you said you were bitter and angry most of your life. Are you still that way?
No. I have my days where I'm just like, I get offended when someone does something to me, but it's like, I'll take it to the Lord, and I'll ask him to give me his eyes to see the way they are, because hurt people hurt and they're broken too. So I have more of his eyes to see, like, this person's probably reacting because they're hurt or they were hurt in this way, and it's able to give me that empathy as well. So
what would you say to somebody watching maybe who does feel that void? They do feel like people have abandoned them and hurt them, and they just, they're looking for something real.
I would just say, like, what God said to me. I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you. And he's just waiting, like a father with open arms, waiting for his children to come back to him. And his blessings and his grace are abundant, so it's amazing.
It's your first time telling your story. Thank you so much for trusting us with it.
Thank you.
And we want to keep following your journey. We'll be praying for you and cheering you on as you're on this healing journey. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I think those are great words for us to remember, whatever you're going through today, wherever you are. Maybe you haven't even started your spiritual journey, or maybe you've been on it for 50 years. Wherever you are, God says, I will never leave you or forsake you, no matter what you're facing today. If you need someone to pray with you, please give our prayer lines a call. That number is on your screen. We would love to pray with you and journey through whatever you're facing today.
Hey, Mark Clark here from Village Church in Vancouver. Matthew chapter 4 has a great story. It says, well, walking by the Sea of Galilee, Jesus saw two brothers, Simon and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Now, here's the beautiful part of the story. I once heard one writer talk about the idea that back then in first century Judaism, a rabbi would choose his disciples by who was the best in the class. They would start really young, and they would have to memorize like huge chunks of the Bible, like Genesis to 2 Kings. And the smartest kids in the class, he would say, come follow me. And you would walk so closely to your rabbi that would say you would wear the dust of your rabbi, and he'd choose the best of the best of the best. Now, all the kids who weren't the best, all the kids who were average or below average, they would send back to do the family business. Now, here's what's fascinating about this. Here's Jesus walking up to two kids who got sent back to do the family business. They're fishermen running the, just doing what their family's always done. And he says, I want to use you. I don't want to use the best of the best of the best. I didn't walk into, the University of Jerusalem, as I heard one writer say, and choose the top 10 PhDs. He goes to the fishermen, the regular Joe, and says, I want to use you because you're normal. Now, some of you are like, God can never, do amazing things through me. And then you look at these guys and go, man, they were so average. They were so normal. And Jesus uses them. And then he gives them this challenge. He says, I want to use you not to fish for food. I want you to fish for people. This is the biggest calling in our life, that there are people out there who haven't been caught in the net of the love of God, the grace of God, the gospel. And your call in life, I know we're busy setting up education and making sure our kids are okay and making sure we got the right square footage in our house and a comfortable life here. But the reality is, Jesus says, are you using your stuff, your time, your energy, your money, your heart to reach people who don't know him yet? Your life is meant to be a mission. And some of us are kind of floundering around and we don't really know what to do with our life because we haven't been taken over by the mission that Jesus has for you. You wake up in the morning and you don't really have a purpose. Let me give you one. Become a fisher of people. That's what he wants you to do. Go reach people who don't know him, the skeptics, the agnostics, the people of other religions, and actually say, God, how am I going to reach them, family, friends, co-workers, with the gospel of Jesus, with the love of God? Remember what it was like for you not to know him if you were ever in that place, and realize people are actually very interested in this, and we in the church begin to kind of tell ourselves nobody wants to become a Christian anymore. No one's interested. They are very interested in Jesus. And they might just respond the same way these guys did. Come follow me. And they might jump right into it immediately.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I tell you, this guy has got such a passion to get the message of God's love out to people. A lot of broken people out there. Mark knows that from his own experience, and he's doing an amazing work in Vancouver and right across the nation.
Oh, I just love listening to him. He's just such a great communicator, and he makes really hard spiritual principles just so everyday and so simple to understand. And I love that, and that message of God's love is exactly why we're here every day. It's what gets us out of bed every day. It's not to judge people or to say like, you're this, you're that. It's really about the fact that God's love is transforming us every day. Like, it's a process, and then we see people sometimes that are hurting, that feel lonely, and we just want them to know and have that experience of it. So if that's something that you've never experienced, please, give us a call, even just where you are right now. If you don't want to phone our prayer lines and that's a little scary for you, you can just say, hey, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. Let me have that experience. Let me just see what they're talking about, if it's real. And what's the harm of that, right? If he's really God, I think he can manage.
Yeah, it's really a no-lose situation. So we always have our prayer lines open, 1-866-273-4444. If you're on that spiritual journey, give us a call. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a member of the Canadian Council of Christian Charities. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R 4M2.
Cheryl Weber's wardrobe provided by Melanie Moon.